All right, we got to let it breathe, and hopefully I don't freeze while we bring in the Facebook groups here. All right. Hope everyone's having a wonderful night. Waiting for a couple green check marks. There's one. There's two. We're good to go.
All right, welcome back to another episode of the Dove Valley Deep Divers, your ultimate Broncos podcast for all your latest and greatest on your Broncos news. I'm Kenneth Booker, and here today with me again is Mr. Erick Trickel. Hey, how you doing, Erick? How are you doing after that heartbreaking loss? Are you happy? You sad? You let down? You optimistic?
Well, I mean, if everybody watched last week's, they would know that I wasn't overly optimistic of Denver's chances in this one. I had concerns about coaching, and there were moments where they were outcoached. I had concerns about the difference in talent level, and that appeared on the field. And I had concerns about, just if things started to go away about the attitude of this team, and that showed up a little bit. So it kind of, I didn't expect it to be a blowout loss like it was. But I didn't expect it to be close. I think I had it like 31-16 in Buffalo's favor. It stinks, but I was hoping for a few more bright moments from this game. We didn't get those. We only got maybe, like 2 or 3 bright moments for it.
Yeah.
But as we said for a while, is this team far exceeded expectations. Nobody expected them to make the playoffs. 5.5 over under on their wins from Las Vegas. They made it to the playoffs. This team has a bright future. I'm looking forward to next year, and they have a lot to work with this offseason. As for dealing with the loss, I quickly turned around and focused on my birthday. And
oh yeah, happy belated birthday.
And so dieting, I haven't had sugary stuff a whole lot. I decided not to count my calories on my birthday. Just to celebrate a little bit. I felt so terrible yesterday because I had like 3 cupcakes with some buttercream frosting. And I was miserable. My body did not like that. And then just a funny story about it before we get back to the Broncos. I also saw this trend of, since I'm a big board game guy, of you take your however old you're turning, you grab that many number of games as your favorite games. Come to find out, I only turned 33. There's 35 games in the picture. My wife and I cannot count very well. So that was a fun thing to discover this morning. But yeah, back to Broncos. I'm excited for what's to come. We kind of had a little bit of a surprise in the news aspect this morning. But yeah, the game kind of went how I expected it to an extent.
Yeah, I was cautiously optimistic. I was hoping we'd pull something out. We keep it close. We did keep it close in the first half, like I was saying. That was one of the big things, big keys to winning this game. But the doink field goal, the multiple drops, that insane touchdown in the back of the end zone. I think he was in. I don't know. It was like you can't tell if he has control, but they called it a touchdown on the field, so it's a touchdown. I know his feet didn't hit until his knee hit, so that was brutal. That really the drops, that catch, and the field goal. If we probably still would have lost, but it would have made it a much more interesting game.
Yeah,
if those do happen because they were like third downs and
yeah.
So and that was a fourth down, whatever, when he made that touchdown too as well. So I don't know.
And with the drops too, they came from the 2 receivers who have grown to be the more reliable guys. Devon Vele had 2 of them, and Cortland Sutton had 1. And those were guys that when Bo Nix has needed a catch, they've needed the first down. That's who he has turned to pretty consistently. And so when those guys drop passes, it's even more demoralizing. The Broncos, they couldn't do much with the run game. And I do find it funny that last week, Lance, he joined us, and he was really hyping up Audric Estime. Audric Estime ended up being inactive. Tyler Beatty ended up being activated because they had packages of plays for him, and he had 2 touches, played 3 total snaps, 2 touches.
Yeah, because he did say, I remember Lance did say he could be an X factor if he plays Beatty, or Bidet. But yeah, he only got a couple carries.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was a decent carry, like a 5-yard carry or something like that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was like 2 carries for like 8 yards or something like that. Yeah. But yeah, last week I said I didn't think he'd be activated. Obviously, I was wrong. I always forget. I always forget that they can activate players on Saturday. I always think that, the offices close, league offices close on Friday. You can't do anything until Monday. I always forget that Sunday's the one day that you can't do anything on. I forget that every single time.
Oh, okay.
Um, so yeah, but getting to the news today, Michael Ronquillo coming in with it in the chat,
Yeah.
saying the Broncos fired their special teams coordinator Ben Kotwicka today. Hopefully, I said the name correctly. I haven't said his name a whole lot since he's been hired because I'm not sure how to say it. Um. So, what are your thoughts on it?
It sucks that they fired Coach K. It's always rough to see somebody lose their job. I know maybe their special teams fell short of what they expected out of him. Um, he worked his butt off, but it just didn't work out. It wasn't a good fit. I wish the best to him on his next journey. Hopefully, he lands on another team, and I'm excited to see who's next. I know we are special teams. At least we got a returner that's premier. Let's see if we could continue to build upon that and really turn our special teams into a weapon.
Yeah, it came a little bit out of left field because I mean the special teams unit they did um, pretty good this season. But then I read Mike Kliz's little article about it, and he brought up Westhoff retiring for medical reasons. And then after that point, special teams started being a little bit more undisciplined with penalties. He brought up the blocked field goal against Kansas City. And he kind of like, I don't know if it was in the same article or in a tweet or if it was somebody else, but someone also implied that Sean Payton was aware of the Forsyth issue on special teams. He brought it up to Kotwicka, and Kotwicka kind of shrugged it off.
Oh,
Um, they didn't flat out say it, but they kind of implied that. They implied the just like, and he really Mike Kliz did go up mention the penalties increasing, the questionable penalty or the questionable play and discipline to end that first half against the Chargers in the second game, and all that. And I also wonder how much Darren Rizzi being available is also impacting this, because we all know, and we've talked about it before, Sean Payton loves his former players and former coaches. Darren Rizzi, longtime special teams coordinator for him in New Orleans. He's now he's available after being the interim head coach after they fired Dennis Allen. Makes me wonder if here soon they got to fulfill Rooney rules, the Rooney rules with
mhm.
interviewing different coaches and everything like that. I wonder if Darren Rizzi, we're going to hear that name called here soon as welcome to Denver. Also, Chris Banjo, the assistant special teams coordinator, he's been getting a lot of interest from around the NFL. He interviewed with the San Francisco 49ers. I also wonder if it could be a potential move of promoting him to special teams coordinator and bringing Darren Rizzi in kind of to replace Westhoff as that advisory guy on special
Okay.
teams that Westhoff had.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not too familiar with all the special teams coaches, whatever, but yeah, it's always nice to have that veteran voice in the background to bounce questions off of. It was one of the things that Nathaniel Hackett never had. All of his
Mhm.
guys were rookie coaches and whatnot, so they were all learning on the job together. Um, I don't know. Yeah, if he's comfortable with Rizzy, it'd be cool to have somebody come in here and seamlessly kind of come in and not have to really learn too much. Since they work together, or pick it up a lot faster than if somebody else came in who's never worked with him. But we'll see.
And
He
I
doesn't have
pulled
too
it
much
up.
to improve at least. So
Yeah, I pulled it up just because I was curious, because Mike Kliss released out a list of other names. He mentioned Chris Bondro. He mentioned Darren Rizzi, Chris Tabor, who's a well-respected special teams guy, John Fassel, who is another well-respected, Joe DeCamillis, which it leaves me, if he was brought back to Denver, I'd be rather upset. Darius Swinton the second, Jet Modkins, who is the son of running back coach Curtis Modkins, who was with Denver there for a while. Heath Farewell, Richard Hightower also were guys that were mentioned in it too. And a couple of those guys are very interesting to me. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. But again, I think that Darren Rizzi is going to be joining Denver staff in some capacity, if not as special teams coordinator.
we have one right here from Rodney. Please no Tom McMahon. Yeah, he was pretty bad while he was here. I know Pat McAfee, that's his boy, but yeah, Wasn't a good tenure while he was here.
Yeah. Well, there's still plenty of coaching stuff to talk about, but we do have to, talk about our presenting sponsor for tonight real quick.
Okay. So our presenting sponsor is going to be Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is a place to play if you're a sports fan looking to win money while watching sports. With over 5 million happy players and over $2 billion won, Underdog makes it fun and easy to cash in all your favorite athletes' performances. Compete against any other players by just selecting higher or lower on 2 or more player stats, and you can win up to 1,000 times your money. So turn every touchdown into a win with Underdog.
So with their champs game, you can win up to 100 to 1,000 times your money. Sorry, just by choosing higher or lower on player stats like passing yards, interceptions, touchdowns, and much more. And also, every dog deserves a second chance. And with Underdog Rescues, you can get your money back and receive a promo if an early injury causes your entry to lose.
Download the Underdog app today and use the code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. Again, download the Underdog app today and use the code MHuddle to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. I'm gonna mess it up. Bonus cash instantly. Every player, every touchdown, to select higher or lower on Underdog.
Now, you must be 18 plus, 19 plus in Alabama, Nebraska, 19 plus in Colorado for some games, 21 plus in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org. Arizona, 1-800-NEXT-STEP or text NEXT STEP to 53342. New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. Thank you, Underdog Fantasy, for the sponsorship. Chase Wollner is asking, do we have a preference for any of these candidates? I know you said you're not really familiar with them. John Fassel is interesting to me, but Darren Rizzi is, I really like him. I like what he brings. I like his style of coaching. I've always been a fan of him. He's a guy who's very well respected and is going to be highly sought after for special teams coordinator positions.
What makes a special teams coordinator stand out? I guess besides like the stats, is there like more aggressive type of play, or I don't know? How do you? I remember when I played special teams, we just ran down there and tried to kill anybody on the other side of the field.
So part of this is also because my daughter's godfather, Luke Poglaze, who appears on the show, he's a special teams coordinator. And we've talked about it a lot because I used to just always shrug it off. And he's like, these are guys that they have to know everyone's strengths and weaknesses when it comes to it and match and figure that out. Okay. They're the guys because they have to make a lot out of nothing because they get the bottom of the depth chart guys. And especially in the NFL, when you have a 53-man roster, the final like 4, maybe 5 guys are special teams only guys, with 3 of them being your 3 special teamers, your kicker, your punter, and your long snapper. The rest are, you have to make do with what the defense side or the offense, what they want. So they really have to sit there and a lot of adapting season to season. They have their core stuff. And then especially you add in the way that the NFL is changing stuff with special teams, and they're still looking at making changes with what you can do with special teams, with kickoff returns and everything like that. Adaptability is one that you got to look for in these coaches. For those reasons, their coaching style, are they going to teach them techniques that align with what the similar techniques that they want to learn? For, say it's a linebacker playing special teams, the techniques is it going to align similar to what they're going to be learning on defense, or is it going to be different? Because if it's different, it could lead to issues when they do end up seeing the field on defense. It's just a lot and of adaptability and just having to be aware of everything with the team, which is why I can't remember who it was. I think it was actually Andy Reid talking about whatever this Kansas City Chiefs special teams coordinator name is. I can't remember it. His name off the top of my head. Denver interviewed him for a head coaching job years ago, but Andy Reid made a comment about it, about him saying is that these guys should get looks more at head coaches because they have to have a hand in everything with the team.
Is it Dave Toub?
Yes, Dave Toub.
Okay. Yeah, I was also thinking maybe like when you hire a special teams guy, is it in the back of your mind that's somebody you want to promote down the line? Or is that somebody you're just like, I just need this guy doing special teams? I don't really want him to be a D coordinator or whatever, offensive line coach down the line.
So for special teams guys, again, they kind of have their hand in everything. So you just kind of want them to stay as a special teams coordinator and potentially get a look at a head coach. You're
Okay.
not looking at them to become an offensive coordinator or a defensive coordinator, even though they can help with that aspect, because
Mhm.
again, they have to have a hand in a little bit of everything,
Okay.
because of how special teams are made up.
Yeah, and our boy Dylan came in here, said, "Sup, Bronco Country. Hit that like button on your way in. Share on all your platforms and subscribe if you haven't already. Yeah, it's appreciate it if you can hit the like button and subscribe. Helps us get out to more Bronco people and more Bronco fans and more Bronco Country people all over the world. So appreciate that. So when we're talking about the playoff loss, uh, there was we needed a perfect game to pull that off. Apparently, of course, a perfect game plus a couple of lucky things that happened on top of that. Uh, the Bills were on fire. Josh Allen knew that he just had to play where he just don't make any mistakes. You can tell that he wasn't forcing stuff. He was
Mhm.
just taking what was given to him because he knew eventually his team was better and they were going to win. I feel like. Um, then also, we lost even though we had a perfect start. Uh, Huge touchdown to get that confidence in you, that little maybe the nervousness out of you. Um, we still held on for a while. It was close until like the third quarter, I think, middle of the third quarter, I guess. Um, James Cook, why isn't he being looked at like Barkley and Henry almost? James Cook is amazing. Was it has 18
Um,
touchdowns this year? I think two of them are receiving and like 16 rushing or something like that.
yeah,
Huge.
he has had an outstanding season, but one issue with him that's been pretty constant is fumbling.
Mhm,
Now I'm not familiar with, how many fumbles Saquon Barkley had off the top of my head, or, some of these other guys. I'm aware of James Cook because of doing my prep work for this game against Buffalo. But fumbling has been an issue with him throughout his career. He did cut down on it this year. He only had one.
mhm.
Um, but yeah, he's just a significant weapon who is pretty consistent. Um, every single from week to week. So yeah, I mean, he should be getting talked about more. They absolutely love him. He's had back-to-back seasons of over 1,000 yards rushing. Um, and yeah, I mean, and I don't want to say they don't use a bell cow back because James Cook is their top guy, but they do rotate him enough. Because Ty Johnson, he is their primary he is their primary receiving
Backup.
back out of the backfield.
Okay. You got Ray
Um,
Davis.
so it's like he's kind of like he's definitely the number one, and then you have a couple of you have a 2A or 2B behind him. But yeah,
Nope.
he's really good. I liked him coming out of college, and
Yeah, me
he
too.
also benefits from playing behind one of the most underrated run blocking offensive lines in the NFL, who absolutely manhandled the Broncos up front. Manhandled
Yeah.
them.
That was hard to watch. I was wondering what like it's one of those games is like what happens when the defense doesn't come up like show up, whatever. And they haven't showed up for like the past, I don't know, like 6 weeks or something like that. Um, what happened to VJ? I mean, I guess it was the Riley Moss was the big thing. Injury was a big change in play style and how aggressive he was. But that defense is like completely different on the back half of the season. And that's something we really needed, especially with the rookie quarterback.
I My belief here is after watching, this defense about midway through the season, we started to see teams figure out where the weak spots were in this defense, and it was really
Mhm.
highlighted against the Ravens, even though Denver was dealing with some injuries. Without being healthy, these liabilities were easier to exploit, and we just saw the Ravens do that, and then other teams picked up on doing it and attempted to do it. Um, the linebackers are terrible. Cody Barton had some splash plays, but he was terrible for most of the season. Justin Strnad really fell off. When he first came in, he was doing extremely well, but he started to have issues. And PJ Locke, I know he's a fan favorite, but he should not be a starting safety, because he is so inconsistent snap to snap in being in the right position in coverage. And that is what the Bills really exploited. They targeted him in coverage successfully. And against the Bills specifically, it doesn't help when your top corner Patrick Surtain has a down game in the playoffs. because
Yeah.
he wasn't good in that game. He got beat for that big touchdown. His effort on that touchdown to make the tackle
Yes.
was questionable at best.
He looked
And
defeated when he
yeah,
was running
and
after him. Yeah, he was like, whatever.
I've seen some people sit there and excuse it because he was expecting safety help over the top, which he was, but he still needed to stick with his man. The safety help was over the top, meaning that they were taking the back half of the field. They were not to let the receiver behind him, which PJ Locke was the guy, and he was late to rotate, but he didn't
Mhm.
allow the receiver behind him. Sertan just got beat on the soft break on the route and just struggled to catch back up.
You think
And
he
that
just
was that.
gets so used to not getting challenged that he was like, "Ah, they're not gonna throw this way." I don't know. I just
That
I
could
think
be
I don't know. I think
because
when he was with when it showed to look like and when it looked like it was lack of effort when he was trying to I think he was just trying to slow the guy down essentially to get his guys time to catch up. But when you're watching it in your head, for some reason you can't turn that off. You're just like, it looks like he's not trying.
it's
It looks
yeah,
like
it
he's
that's
done with the game already.
that's why I said questionable because you obviously you can't say for sure. You can only
Mhm.
watch it and you can make an assumption, and it could be there's a lot that can go into it and everything like that. And it could be he thought that PJ Locke was more on the inside, so he was making sure he couldn't take the sideline when PJ Locke actually is taking the sideline, and so they both take the sideline, leaving that inside cutback lane. There's just a lot to it, so
Yeah.
questionable at best. Their effort with him and decision making, but not expecting to be targeted. That could be the case because there were a lot of moments this season when he did give up a catch, not for very, very big ones. If you go back and watch, he is beat off the snap consistently and use it and is able to recover and then catch up on it. Using that time, he reads the throw and is able to get there and either break up the play or make the tackle almost immediately.
Mhm.
Khalil Shakur is a little bit of a different breed type of receiver than what Sertan is normally going up against, which is why I wasn't very favorable of them matching up against each other. And I just think that he just struggled a little bit more to catch up and recover against Shakur than he did with other receivers to, give that more passive, um, uh, that more passive, what's the right word here?
Like,
um Passive moment, I guess, off the snap to read the route and then react.
yeah. It he reminds me of like because he's a bigger cornerback. Or like I remember Talib used to have issues with small shifty guys.
Mhm.
Anybody else like a Calvin Johnson? I mean, he's gonna have issues with Calvin Johnson, but he's gonna hold his own. But any like Tyreek Hill kind of guy, whatever, it was really hard for him to stay with those guys because their quickness was like on a whole nother level. Because I remember when Emmanuel Sanders first got to the team, they had a practice, and I used to work at the stadium, and
Yeah.
Emmanuel Sanders was cooking him play after play,
Mhm.
and I was like, wow, I thought this guy was good, but he is good. It's just Emmanuel Sanders is
Yeah.
awesome too. And then so after the playoff loss, we're kind of going to go back through the season. We had some exciting moments. Um, we swept the Raiders for the first time in a long time, which is awesome. And it didn't take them locking up a playoff spot, playing a bunch of backups. We beat their starters, who are kind of technically a bunch of backups. Um, Mims had some huge plays. We got a breakout season for Mims. We'll see if he can roll that into next season. His offseason is going to be huge for him
Yeah.
to see if he takes his next step or if he's just going to kind of pick up where he left off and kind of have some splashes here and there. Um, Benito, Zach Allen, John Franco Myers all had career years, sack wise, just play wise. Cooper had another huge season. I think he had 9.5 sacks last year, but he had double digits this year. Together, he had 20 sacks. And then the Broncos finally, well, we're on our first step of finding our franchise quarterback. So there's always those people that have the really good first years, i.e., Vince Young, RG3. There's a couple other dudes, Rick Meyer,
Mac
just a
Jones.
couple of rookie of the years mixed in there.
Yeah.
You got to stay hungry.
Mhm.
And he seems like he's one of those guys. He'll do some stuff with his family, relax, and then he'll get back to work. So
Yeah.
I'm excited to see Bo Nix coming in the next season. Did you have any exciting moments that you were super hyped up about this year, or something?
Despite them not doing it, it was super nice being in there going into the final 4 weeks and being a win away from clinching a playoff spot.
Right?
That
can't
was
believe they put
so
themselves in.
nice. That where you were in a position where you didn't need to rely on anybody else winning or losing. It was just you got to do your job. They failed to do it until the final week playing backups,
Mhm.
but it was nice to be in that instance, especially after so long of it. And outside of the Mile High Huddle staff, Chad and I are the only ones who are who are doing this when the Broncos won that Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
one thing that was nice for me too is seeing the reactions, hearing the reactions of all the other staff members of all these years of miseries that you guys have covered this team. We're in the playoffs now and getting and letting you guys get to have that experience as well, which not directly related to the Broncos. That was nice for me to see and have you guys experience that as well. Um, but I'm excited for what's to come. I'm curious about what they're going to do this offseason. They have plenty of money to work with and rich owners to work around the salary cap, as I've talked about before. And they have a couple guys needing an extension, Zach Allen, Nick Benito among them. I am curious to see what they are going to do with that. Obviously, either one of them, no matter when they get extended, I don't think, or I know for a fact that the extension won't kick in until 2026. So none of what they're on the salary cap for this year, that is what their salary cap will be. Um, I am kind of curious to see what they do with Nick Benito because
Yeah.
obviously he had a great year as a pass rusher. He really struggled as a run defender. And there was a stat going around about sub 250-pound edge rushers against the run. And Nick Benito, he only plays about 245, between 240 and 245. I think right around 245 to be exact. So he's a little bit on that lighter side. And he allowed the highest yards per average, with him being in the hole, taking on the lead blocker or in the primary gap, whatever way you want to put it, him being the primary defender against the run. He allowed the highest yards per carry in the last like 15 years of edge defenders under 250 pounds,
Okay.
which is already a concern. And all of these guys are already there. I think the average was like 5.5 yards, and he like average and runs his way average like almost 7 or 8.
Jeez. That's
Um,
insane.
so it was pretty bad. So I'm curious what they'll do. Obviously, pass rush, that's key, that's paramount, that's what he's going to be paid to do. I wonder if they will extend him before the season or if they'll wait, use the franchise tag with him and let him see what he does this year, see if they can get him developed as a run defender and see if he can match what he did as a pass rusher this year. And then be like, here's we're going to franchise tag you and then buy us some extra time. Then we're going to work out a long-term deal with you. That's the route I would take. And then get the deal with Zach Allen done immediately, basically sometime in June, July, August, after free agency, after the draft, right around the start of training camp, because he has multiple years of rising, of playing at a high level. And this was Nick Benito's breakout year. See if he can follow that up.
Yeah, Nick Benito, it's kind of rough because it was just the one big season. I know he had a when 9 sacks the year before or something like that. So it's really hard to trust and put that much money into, especially since we got burnt with the quarterback money situation.
Yeah.
I hope he would be okay with that. I would understand if he wouldn't, if he would want his money now, essentially, or the deal to get done now.
Yeah.
Hopefully he's agreeable to that and we can work
And
on Zach Allen because that's how we become a better team if we all, I guess, work together. But I understand. They worked their
with
butts off for all that
him,
money.
honestly, when I look at other guys who are set to be free agents soon, if I were him, I'd want to wait. I'd want to see what some of these other guys are going to get and use that and see what they raise, because Myles Garrett and TJ Watt are both coming up with needing contract extensions. And while you're not going to be trying to get that level, those can be like, those are the tier 1 guys. Pay me like a tier 2. If they can break $28 million on an average per year basis, 30 million, that just increases what Nick Benito can ask for. And I would bet, I think it would be smart for him to bet on himself
Mhm.
and try to play for that, and try to play for that. Because right now, I mean, you have Nick Bosa at $34 million per year, and then you have Watt and Garrett at 25, 28, and a couple other guys at 28 million. So you're already hitting that 28. Bosa's deal is kind of an outlier for edge rushers. But I believe Max Crosby is coming up for an extension soon. Daniel Hunter is coming up for an extension soon. Both of their contracts avoid at the end of 2026 season. And then you have Trey Hendrickson and Joey Bosa coming up on free agency here soon, next year. So you have a lot of guys that are doing that. And then you're going to have some of these rookies or guys on rookie contracts, I should say, also coming up on contract extension moments. So it's just going to get richer for the edge position. I would wait.
And those guys, other guys have, they're better on the run as well too. And they're the Bosa brothers, Crosby. Those guys are amazing.
I mean, the Bosas especially, they have those whole injury concerns, but Nick Bonito, he's stayed relatively healthy. He's been ascending, 1.5 sacks as a rookie, playing as a part-time player. Started to see more reps, got 8 sacks, though a lot of them unblocked snaps or unblocked sacks in 2023, and then 13.5 sacks this year. So yeah, I just think for both sides, it makes sense to wait until after this. Adam Strange coming in with actually a pretty good question here. We'll come back to that. Okay. It's edge is a defensive end in a 4-3 defense. Yes, edge is a guy that plays on the outside, and interior defensive lineman, I think it's best to look at it in terms of techniques. So you have your nose tackles, which are 0, 1, 2 techniques. Then you have 3, 4, 5 techniques, which are your interior defensive linemen. Then you have 6, 7, 7I, 9s. Those are your edge defenders. They can be outside linebackers in a 3-4 or a defensive end in a 4-3. 4-3-3-4 matters a little outside of the run. But yeah, it's just the guy who plays on the outside. The primary pass rushers that line up against the offensive tackles.
Okay. He also had that question about what do you think is a hard pass position for round 1? I guess quarterback.
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 I'll take the easy way out on that one. Quarterback,
kicker.
But not punter.
No. I just don't want to reach for somebody. I don't know who you would say would reach for. I don't want to trade up for G&T. I would take G&T if he fell to 20, 100%. I don't want to trade up for him. It's just going to cost too much.
They're going to trade 3 first-round picks to trade up and draft him.
Yeah, it's too much.
No. It's as I was saying last week.
It was
a joke for me for
that. Was a Nick. Yeah, that was a Nick. Yeah. Okay. 4 first-round picks. Make it 4.
I mean, you can. I wouldn't say there really is one outside of like quarterback and special teams, because you can make an argument for any one of them. So running back, obviously, such a tremendous need. Wide receiver, Denver can use to add to their wide receiver room a little bit. Tight end, we all know the need at tight end. Loveland, Warren, couple other guys who I don't think they'll be worth first round picks, but you could look at. Offensive line, I wouldn't cross off. You extended Garrett Bowles, but now you might be looking at moving on from Mike McGlinchey after this season when you can, and replacing him, and you can get that upgrade your third offensive tackle and then replace Mike McGlinchey. And then same thing with the interior offensive line. Maybe it's an interior offensive lineman who has some center guard versatility, upgrade over Luke Wattenberg, and then potentially move out and replace Ben Powers, who you can move on from after the season, and cut the cost on the offensive line a little bit, because this is one of the most expensive offensive lines in the NFL, where you're playing big money to 4 of the 5 positions. So no, I wouldn't cross off offensive line. Defensive line, you have so many guys who are either free agents this year or next year.
Jones, I think, is one of them.
DJ Jones is a free agent this year. Jordan Jackson's an exclusive right free agent. John Franklin Myers, Zach Allen, they're both free agents after this season. Matt Henningsen is a free agent after this season, I believe, or after next season, I believe, or this season, I can't remember which. And then Malcolm Roach, he's a free agent after next season. So basically, your whole starting line this year, your top 4 in the next 2 years, this year and next year, they're set to be free agents. Edge rusher, I mean, Jonathan Cooper struggled a little bit after his contract extension, and the way his contract is structured, you can move off from him after this next season, and then you can always look to upgrade your third edge rusher. Jonah Ellis, he was all right, but he really fell off. He started off hot, but fell off. DeAndre Tillman finished strong. He's an exclusive rights free agent this year. And you can never have too many pass rushers. Linebacker, that need is obvious. Corner is one that is more iffy, but you just extended Patrick Surtain. You have 2 years left of cost control on Riley Moss, who has dealt with injuries each of this first 2 years.
True.
And Jaquan McMillan, who really struggled down the back half of the season. And then safety, you got to find somebody to upgrade over PJ Locke. So I wouldn't cross out any of them. Now, there are some that I would be less enthused about, but I wouldn't pass on almost any position.
So we got some people that like Michael coming in here. Tyler Warren's his pick. I heard him going. It was like the late 20s, like a couple months ago, and now it's like the teens, early mid-teens or whatever. So people are his draft stock is starting to come up. Colston Loveland is the one that I'm hearing a lot of. I saw some of his play.
I prefer Loveland to Warren.
Those guys are, I don't know, crazy athletic. I don't know. I just really don't trust tight ends in the first round. I feel like people get burnt more than they don't.
Tight end is, outside taking quarterback out of this, tight end is probably the hardest position to evaluate and also translate to the NFL, because in college football, you have basically tight end specialists. This guy is specifically our blocker. This guy is specifically our receiver. And then in the NFL, you got to learn to do both. If you're primarily the receiver, you have to learn how to block. If you're primarily the blocker, you got to learn how to make an impact as a receiver. Otherwise, you're going to be the third, fourth tight end on the roster. You're not going to be one of the top two. So it's just so much to learn. And then you have a vast expansion on the blocking concepts that you have to learn. Tight end is probably one of the hardest ones, which does lead to such a high miss rate, outside of quarterback, of course.
And then let me get this one real quick. It says, what round was Brock Bowers drafted? And he was the first round guy. He was right before or right after Surtain. Right after Surtain, Bo Nix, sorry, right after Bo Nix. But it's very few and far between. I mean, like, when was Noah Fant drafted as well, too? So he didn't do too much. He's still playing, though. Good for him. Said this is the first draft heading into free agency without a quarterback, without looking for a quarterback. So what is the one weapon you are looking for if you are the GM and the coach to get for Bo? What weapon would you get for Bo if you were the GM?
I would do whatever I can to get Garrett Wilson away from the Jets.
Yeah, that was a guy. So would you trade the 20th pick plus another pick?
I'll trade the 20th pick.
20th
He's also coming up at a point for an extension, so I'm not sure if I would do another, but I would do the 20th for him. He is a dig merchant, a slant merchant, and that is what Sean Payton loves for his offense. That is what his offense is missing. They tried to put Cortland Sutton in that role, and it was very hit or miss this season, and none of the other guys have stepped up to be that role. They gotta have it, and it's something that Bo Nix needs, because Bo Nix can hit those routes pretty well.
Yeah, because I seen in the very first game against Seattle, he was throwing those routes a lot. It was just extremely tight coverage, and they were getting broken up, and some of them were dropped. So, yeah, he is pretty good at those. Thank you for the super chat, David. I really appreciate it. Hope you're doing good. Let's see, and then so, yeah, everybody was talking about what GT, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland. Is there any person else? I know there's with the Iowa running back and then the NC North Carolina running back.
Omarion Hampton.
Yeah, I need to start watching these guys more.
I also like Travion Henderson out of Ohio State.
Oh yeah, Judkins or whatever. Is there another running back at Ohio
State? There's another one. I don't like the one. I like Henderson more than the other one. Okay. The other one I can't remember the name. Now, receiver that I like, and I'm going to throw his name out here. Well, actually, no, I'm not going to throw his name out here because I can't pronounce his last name. It is, where is it? He's out of Stanford. Give me a second.
Oh, is he the one that roasted Travis Hunter?
Erick Eomanor, I think is how you say it. This dude is a blocker. Like, he is so good at it. And you want to talk about dig and slant merchant? Here you go. I absolutely love this dude. He is one of the guys that I would be, depending on what Denver does in free agency, I would be pounding the table for him in Denver. He just fits extremely well, fits the attitude. He would immediately upgrade and take over the role that they've been trying Lil Jordan Humphrey to fill, who's been miserable at it. So I absolutely would love it, and he would be a guy in a second round to watch.
Second round, okay. Yeah, I know some of the CU. I always bring up that some of the CU receivers are in the later rounds, day 3, 4, whatever. Will Shepard, he's like a 6'3", 210-pound kind of receiver. LeJohntay Webster, a little slant guy. He's like a Wes Welker. Plays angry. Plays like Philip Lindsay played. He plays like he hates everybody on the field. Like, give me the ball, I'm scoring a touchdown, get out of my way. And then who else was in another one? I think they had another guy in there too. Will Shepard, Jonte. Anyway, those are the two guys.
Yeah, they have Jimmy Horn.
Oh yeah, Jimmy Horn Jr. He's quick too. But we already got somebody kind of like those with Franklin.
But cool thing for Colorado fans, Shedeur Sanders, those 3 receivers, and a couple other guys, they're all going to be at the Shrine Bowl.
Yeah,
6 Colorado Buffaloes at the Shrine Bowl this year.
Yeah, is that the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl? Is that the same thing? 2 different things.
They are 2 different events.
Okay.
So you have the Hula Bowl, you have the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, you have the Shrine Bowl, you have the Senior Bowl, and there's the HBCU Bowl.
Okay.
And then there's another one. There's 6 total. And I can never remember what the 6th one is.
Toilet Bowl.
That's the Browns or the Raiders. But there was a question here that I wanted to get, or a comment. Michael Ronquillo. Sean Payton doesn't want to use a bell cow running back. Did you see his comments about this Monday?
Yeah, I did hear about that.
Tuesday, whenever it was.
Somebody was making fun of it. They're like, he's never used a bell cow running back. What are you talking about?
It's always been a 1A, 1B. Always has been. He likes to have his top 2 guys. And he needs to find them. Like, he doesn't have either. Maybe Audric Estimate could be that guy. We barely saw him. Maybe Jaleel McLaughlin could be that guy. We haven't seen consistency from him to be that guy. So yeah, I could definitely I can still see Ashton Jeanty in the first round to be one of those 2 guys, and then bringing in a veteran. I do think they go both veteran and rookie route to add 2 running backs this offseason.
I was watching this Chat Sports, and they were talking about max carries per game for the Broncos. And I think the highest was 17.
That sounds right.
One time they ran for 17 times. The rest of the time it was like 12 and 13.
Yeah, I don't think they ever broke 15 besides that, like, one time.
And they haven't had 1,000, or they haven't had a 100-yard rusher like in 2 years.
Yeah,
that's crazy. We used to have 100-yard rushers daily. It was like a given. Yeah. And then Sean Payton's running backs, the carry wise. This is talking about the bell cow thing. Nobody ever ranked 5th or higher. I think Kamara had the most in 2021, where he had 240 carries.
Yeah.
But everything else, besides, I guess Ingram had another one of 230, but everything else is under 200 carries.
Yeah. And then Cody W comes in. Safety is such a cheap position to pick up in free agency, though. I mean, you can pick up a top tier for pretty cheap compared to almost any other position. Not at all. Top safeties are still getting 17 plus per year. And we've seen it recently. Antoine Winfield, he's making $21 million a year. He just signed his deal. Derwin James signed his year, I think, a year or 2 ago. $19 million.
Yeah.
Minka Fitzpatrick, $18 million. Buda Baker, $18 million. And there are a lot of free agents that are high quality that are set to hit free agency last year. Last year was a bit of a down year with the safety market in free agency. And this was talked about by Joel Corey, Andrew Brandt, and a couple other guys, because teams just weren't sure where the market would be because of Antoine Winfield Jr. A lot of agents wanted to wait and see what he would sign for. and a lot of players were wanting to wait and see, and as well as a lot of teams. So I think this year there are a lot of free agents safeties here that are, again, high quality. I think we're going to see a lot hit over, 12, 13 to 18 million. I don't think we'll see anybody break 20 million, but I wouldn't be surprised if we see 4 or 5 in that 13 to 18 range.
Yeah, that's rough. I feel like because I'm fine with Brandon Jones. Yeah, it's just the PJ Lock thing. So maybe that's gonna rear its head on the draft board. It's gonna be on there because of those high prices you're talking about.
Yeah.
Is there like anybody in college that you're really high on as a safety or?
Xavier Watts out of Notre Dame. I would love him in Denver.
Do you know where he's about to get most likely going to get drafted?
Probably late round 1, early round 2.
Okay, I have to check him out.
Right now, obviously, I think we're at like 96 days until the NFL draft. We still have the scouting combine. We have pro days. There is still a lot. So a lot can change. He can obviously rise or fall. But right now, I see him in that range. And Cody's saying that's still cheaper than defensive end and corners.
Oh, definitely.
Kind of.
Those guys are like quarterbacks.
It is, but it also isn't. I think corners have the highest disparity between the top rated like the top corner and the second corner. They have one of the biggest gaps between any of the positions, whereas safeties, they're more evenly paid. So like say you're paying a one corner 25 million and the other one 15 million, whereas the safeties you're paying them both like 18 million.
Okay. What's there's a couple of like when Simmons went over to Atlanta, they still have Richie Grant, right?
I think he's set to be a free agent this year.
How was he? I don't think he like lived up to whatever, but he still played all right, or which is something that you would kick the tires on, or maybe Holland is another one.
Javon Holland is an interesting one. Andre Cisco is another one. I would not look at Javon Holland. He is very similar, brings a lot of similarity to what Brandon Jones does. He's more of that, I don't want to say hybrid linebacker because that's not what they are. They're more of that downhill hitter instead of that deep rangy guy. And they need that rangy guy. And Richie Grant has not been good, as Scott has said openly. And Andre Cisco, he is kind of that similar mold as well. The guy that I would be looking for this rangy guy, and it's gonna throw up alarms because he's an older guy, but Quandre Diggs as one of those rangy safeties over the top, I think that he can really fit in with what they do defensively.
Okay. And do you see with all the interviews and stuff like that, do you see Vance Joseph still being here? I don't see him taking a head coaching job. I think it's good to get him a chance at getting a head coaching job for himself and then the money and stuff like that. I just don't think he's going to be a good head coach.
I think next year, depending on what happens this year, I think he's going to be a hot name. If he gets the defense back on track and they have a similar year to this year with more consistency towards the end of the season, like remaining good, I think he would be the top candidate on and head coaching next year. I think this year it's teams just kind of getting some insight into him, and just to see what he can bring, and maybe he blows them away in an interview. But I think most of it is just that not I don't want to say not actual interest, but some interest, but not like not one of their top 3 guys.
And then Michael comes in with a popular name. You got Scatterbarrow, or Scatterbo, the running back at Arizona State. He plays angry. He seems like when you're like he's not a running back, he's a football player. Yeah, he seems like one of those guys. I've heard mixed stuff about him. I wouldn't be sad if he was on the team, but just not in the first round.
I'm gonna say something about him that a lot of people, I've had to explain it before because I've said it on the shows before. I think he's going to be a good football player. I do not think he is a good fit in Denver.
Oh, okay. What would you put him at then? What would you say a good fit would be?
I think that a team like the Rams, the 49ers, Minnesota, these teams that use more West Coast style running offense, I think
Oh,
that's
okay.
where he would be a lot better fit.
And then, do you with the crazy stuff that pops out with Coach Prime? Do you see him leaving to any of these teams, to the Raiders, to the Cowboys? Um,
If I don't think ultimately he makes the jump to the NFL this year. If he does, it's Dallas. I don't think he'll go anywhere else. I think his eyes are set on Dallas.
yeah, he seemed like kind of high on Oakland initially, just for his
The chance
kids at least.
to, yeah, just a chance to coach the door. Yeah,
But yeah, I don't know. As a CU fan, whatever, it was pretty hard when Mel Tucker left. He was coming from a big program and defense coordinator over at Georgia, and he went to Michigan State. They
yeah,
ended up paying him twice as much. So I get why he left. But I guess there's like the rumor that he left in the middle of the night, and I was like, this is like that by times 10. It's so demoralizing. We'll become the laughing stock of the college football after that, essentially, because they all hate us already now. We're like the number
yeah,
one hated school after Saban left Alabama. Like people still Alabama's a premier school, whatever, but like
yeah,
um people just hate our guts.
yeah.
It's just weird. I just don't get it. We were trash. We were losing by 29 points a game.
It's the personality of Deion Sanders and Shadeur Sanders blaming everything on everything around him but himself so much on these podcasts he would join. That doesn't help things.
Yeah, I haven't seen any of the
Like,
podcasts, whatever. I've only seen like after the
yeah,
game press conferences, and he seems pretty good. But I have heard about stuff like that. He seems
yeah,
like he's kind of high all the time. I don't know. He seems like he just doesn't care. He just like, I don't know, man. He's down by 4 touchdowns.
yeah.
Tried.
Which I
Didn't
mean
work.
that kind of mentality isn't bad of just like not letting the pressure get to you of just
It
being
doesn't.
nonchalant. It can be beneficial for a quarterback.
I don't think it's like so like he doesn't care. It's just like, yeah, it's just a play to him. And he's
Yeah,
about to
yeah.
do the next
It's
play.
just it I think he cares. Just it's nonchalant about it. Like
Yeah.
it's it's not a big deal. It's a deal.
Um, and then I had to was like kind of wrapping up the show. There was a talking about the stadium and where they wanted to put it at and all the different locations. And 1043, I forgot somebody from there was talking about Lone Tree, and then he actually did say Lone Tree in the thing. Um, I know people don't want it there; they kind of want to keep it where it's at, or maybe move it a little bit, but in the same area. And they don't want the airport. But Lone Tree, I guess it makes sense. It's got multiple trains that go that way. One that comes straight from the airport and one that comes from downtown. But hopefully, yeah, they can find a way to keep it down in downtown Denver, especially since I think they're moving E-Liches out. Maybe they can turn that into like a whole village, like a lot of stadiums do,
Mhm.
with housing and restaurants and bars and all that stuff, whatever. Um, so yeah, hopefully they don't move. But I don't know. Where would you like them to? Would you like them to stay where they're at, or would you like them to move, or would anybody else like them to move in the chat?
I'm not entirely sure where the different areas of Denver are.
Hmm.
So to me, I don't care where they move to so much as that they make a nice stadium and they make it a dome.
Okay.
Like I would just like a dome because and I actually have a good reason. I have a reason for this. It's because creating a nice stadium with a dome increases the chances of Denver hosting a Super Bowl.
Definitely.
So
Yeah,
just
I would
because
like at least a retractable dome.
yeah, I think a retractable dome is the right way to go because it wasn't Roger Goodell, but like his right hand man came out and mentioned that about Denver about potential January February weather being a reason why they don't want to look that way for a Super Bowl at the moment.
It's so funny is because I feel like they don't know they've never been to Colorado apparently. because it's rarely like that. It's like
Yeah.
it's spotty.
They
It's
think
like
it's like Alaska.
yeah, they think it snows every day from December until March 1st.
If it has a retractable dome, the rollback stadium would be hilarious.
I like that.
That would be hilarious.
That's funny. Yeah, that is funny. And then oh yeah, so but remember that Philly fan, the Philly and the Packers fan, and he lost his mind
No.
on her and called her super vulgar stuff, and he got banned for life from the stadium. Um, Apparently the boyfriend of the girl that was getting yelled at isn't that great of a person either.
Oh.
Apparently he was like he instigated the whole situation.
Yeah, I did. I saw something about it. I didn't know that it was like I saw something that an Eagles fan or Packers fan, whatever one he was, because it was from the playoff game,
Mhm.
who got in trouble at the same. It didn't say he was banned. Was sitting there, and his apology was like lackluster because he blamed it on the group that he attacked. That
Okay.
was all I've seen about it.
Yeah, he got fired from his job because once they find you on the internet, all the people from the comments they tracked him down. They all turned into detectives, and
And then
he got fired immediately. And then yeah, apparently the boyfriend of the he was like kind of instigating a whole situation so he could record it and get clicks or get views.
yeah, and then a thing here of from Miss Heater here. The owners want Denver to pay for a new stadium.
That's kind of how it goes a lot.
Yeah. It sucks because obviously they have enough money to pay for the stadium themselves, but they're not going to. It's the same thing that we saw in Kansas City. They were threatening to leave Kansas City
Mhm.
unless the city agreed to pay for it. Rich people stay rich by not spending money, and they want to take the money from hard work earned money from taxpayers to help build the stadium so they don't have to spend as much money.
Which doesn't make any sense, really. I feel like if you own the stadium, you get all the revenue, kind of thing,
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah, they do that a lot. I think somebody was saying during the Super Bowl years, the first Super Bowl years of the Broncos when they won, before they had won the Super Bowls, that they were kind of in some tight money situation,
Mhm.
and something like that was being floated. And it's like, I hate when they do that. They threaten the city, and these people are living check to check, and you're still trying to squeeze couple extra dollars out of them. I don't know, because doesn't Jerry Jones own the entire Dallas Cowboys?
No, I was pretty sure that Dallas taxpayers shipped in on it,
I know he owns like
or the
something with
area
a
taxpayers.
franchise thing, whatever. So when you order hats, I used to work at a hat store. When you order hats, you can order every single team's hats except for Dallas's. You got to order those specifically through them, kind of thing,
Let me see here.
because he owns like the rights to them.
So there's only 4 apparently, and Jerry Jones does own AT&T Stadium. Um, Kroenke owns, or however you say his name, owns the SoFi Stadium.
Cronky, yes, Dan.
And then supposedly, I guess Mark Davis owns the Raiders' new stadium, and Robert Kraft owns the Patriots Stadium. But those are the
Okay,
only 4.
yeah, it's
If
I
that
don't
was
know.
a reliable source of information from my quick Google search I did.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Hopefully they can figure out the stadium situation and make it nice, make it a retractable or a covered
Mhm.
dome, um, and just make it like a whole town around it. I love that when
Yeah.
they do stuff like that. It's really cool. It's a really
It
cool
would really help them be
experience.
able to host an NFL draft as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Everything would be in walking distance. So, um, yeah, that's kind of all I got. Do you have any other stuff that you had to wanted to talk about for the?
No, this is every year this, after the season ends, that first week or 2, it's kind of a downtime, but
Mhm.
things are gonna pick up. It was funny. I sent an article into Chad on after the game or Monday, and he's like, and he made a comment about like, I'm getting ready to get a lot more of these because it's your time to shine. I was like, yay. Because it's all draft from here on out from me. So get ready for that. And we're going to probably start shifting focus into that. Maybe not next week, but the week after. I got to look at the scheduling for these games for these All-Star games. Because I know Shrine Bowl is coming up, so we'll probably be talking about that a little bit. We'll be talking about the Senior Bowl. That when that comes up, we'll be doing a lot of that. But as it is, once we hit this time of year, it's draft season for me. So
Yeah, I'm excited for this. I haven't really done a super deep dive onto the draft, and I'm excited to learn about some of these players that I just haven't heard of. And then Rodney came in here talking about Dallas running back Rico Dowdell or Najee Harris. Who would you guys take in free agency? Is Rico Dowdell a free agent? I thought he was like a rookie or something.
Rico Dowdle, yeah, he's a free agent.
Is he? He had 1,000 yards this year.
Yeah, I would take neither of them.
No, I wouldn't mind kicking the tires on Rico. That's
I think he's going to ask for a little bit too much, try to capitalize off his year.
Yeah, especially for a running back, you never know when you only get paid so many times. So
I'm all for. If you sign a veteran running back, don't pay more than $4 million annually. And I think Dowdle is going to push that, and Najee Harris will push that.
And Chubb's out there too,
I think Najee Harris is going to try pushing for 10 million average per year.
I wouldn't pay that, but is Chubb out there too?
Yeah, he'd be an interesting one because of the injuries.
He's 1 year removed, so
yeah,
I loved watching him play. He was one of my favorite running backs.
But
go ahead.
I think that's going to do it for us, and I always get yelled at for not putting the tickers on, so I apologize for that. I always forget when we get going. Thank you all for the super supporters and the stars. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much. We respect y'all, and you guys help us keep the lights on, be able to do what we do. Make sure you guys give this stream a like on Facebook and YouTube. It really helps with the algorithm on both, especially as YouTube keeps messing with the algorithms of stuff. And then super chats on YouTube, stars on Facebook. They support us, they support the channel, and they're dedicated to us, and we appreciate them so much. And if you guys have a few moments, subscribe, like, and share. Again, these all help with the algorithm in different ways. Whatever you're watching it on, it just takes a matter of moments. You can share it to your social media, help spread the word, help get more viewers on it, which also helps with the algorithm, which helps us get to more viewers, and so on and so forth. And it just creates this domino effect that keeps going. You can also take some time for a chance to win some gear, not swag, each month by going to Spotify and Apple Podcasts and leaving a 5-star review. You can talk about how great I am, or how handsome Kenneth is, or how big Nick's mouth is, but just got to be a 5-star review. No, just we just appreciate you guys' support, and it also helps us with the algorithms,
guys and gals.
Yeah. And you can go follow us on Instagram at Mile High Huddle with the underscore between Mile and High and Huddle. And you can go to mhhmerch.com to get your gear on, like this hat, shirts, sweatshirts, posters, coffee mugs, all sorts of stuff. I keep pushing for a tie because every now and then I'll wear a tie on the show. I haven't done it for a while. But no luck on the Dove Valley Everest tie just yet. I'm keep working on it though. Every year at the meet and greet, I always bring it up. You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/Mile High Huddle, or facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod, where you can get access to all the shows and all the written content. You can also follow us on Twitter or X, whichever one you want to call it, or Blue Sky if you use Blue Sky as well, at Mile High Huddle, or at Mile High Huddle Blue Sky, or whatever it is it is on Blue Sky. I don't even know. So much to it. It's not as simple as just at Mile High Huddle. You can follow us on there. Also get access to all of the written content as well as all of the podcasts at MHH Pod, as well as at DVDD_pod for this show's specific Twitter account. You guys can also reach out to there with any questions or comments. I know Kenneth has been looking at YouTube comments for some questions to end the show, and I don't think we have any this week. So if you're listening on YouTube, feel free to leave a comment down below, leave a question, and we'll get to it next week. Or tweet at us on Twitter, and we'll try to remember to bring it on the show. I think we could do that as well. Mm-hmm. But thank you guys for tuning in. We appreciate y'all. And before we get out of here, any last words?
No, enjoy your new year, their 2025. Try to do something to make yourself a little better person. Doesn't have to be anything crazy. Doesn't have to be some huge goal or anything like that. I kind of did like kind of a big goal, but I broke it into little tiny increments. And me and my dog did a marathon, a mile and a half to like 2.5 miles at a time. And we just finished today. So 26 miles and it's like 10 days or something like that. But yeah, it's just do something that makes me happier. It makes me my in a better mood. I feel like I accomplished something even if I haven't done anything else for the day. So yeah, it's if you feeling kind of down or you want to get in shape, whatever, that's a really good way to do it. And that's that app that I use, Conquer, where you get the little medals and stuff like that
Mhm.
afterwards. Just like it's just kind of a cool little motivation. I know they had some Star Wars ones and some Lord of the Rings, and I'm in my next one is a swim one. I'm swimming the English Channel. It's gonna
Cool.
take forever, but yeah, but we'll see. It's gonna be a lap at a time. And then, like Eric said, throw some comments in the YouTube, and I'll get back with you on that. Even if they're constructive criticism, it's always good to get some honesty to make myself better at my job and better at following the Broncos and stuff like that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, as kind of said, it's hope you have a goal for the year. I know I do. I know I achieved my goal for last year. Um, Even though I didn't start my goal until May. My goal was to finish the year under 300 pounds, and I ended the year under 270.
Nice.
Um,
That's
and
big.
then I'm right back up. I'm just under 280 now because my eating hasn't been the best over the past couple weeks. Um, but and I haven't been able to work out as much, but I'm going to be focused on that. My goal is to get down to my initial ideal weight of 225 pounds, see how I feel, and then go from there. Um, I'm taking this year to really continue focusing, I should say, on my mental, physical, and emotional health and all those things, which is something that I've struggled with for years now. And just keeping creating memories with my family and all that with board games. And another one is learning
Yeah.
how to count because my wife and I don't know how to count to 33 properly. Um, I put it as if you guys didn't catch it at the beginning of the show, I put out a picture on all my social media of me with my 33 board games, one for each year of my age, except that there's 35 board games. Um, so yeah, we got to learn how to count. So we're going to be focusing on that. Good thing we're homeschooling our daughter and apparently teaching her to count didn't help us. But anyways, everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys have a wonderful night. Even though the Broncos are in it, I hope you guys still enjoy the weekend of playoff football. And actually, before we get out of here, with Denver out of it, who do you want to see win the Super Bowl? Or who do you want to see in the Super Bowl, I should say?
I have two different teams. They're from one from each, whatever. I'd like to see them, I guess, play each other. It would be I don't know. I get I'm going with Baltimore just because I know Buffalo lost four in a row. They haven't won a Super Bowl. Um, and they talked a lot of trash to their fans doing whatever. But like I just want to see Lamar get a trophy with all those, or get a
Yeah.
Super Bowl trophy with all those MVP trophies, because it sucks when you got a bunch of MVP trophies and um no Super Bowl trophy to go with it, because it I don't know, people devalue your MVPs and start questioning how good you really were.
Real
And then
quick,
Detroit Lions, sorry, Detroit
yeah,
Lions would be the other one.
real quick with Lamar Jackson, I just want to say, I think if my memory serves, if he loses this weekend and he ends up winning the MVP, he'll have the same number of MVPs as he does playoff wins.
Yeah,
That's rough. Or it might be he might have one more playoff win than MVPs. I can't remember exactly what it is. Um, but I have a soft spot for Baltimore. I've alluded to as why multiple times on the show, and people who know me do know why. That said, I would love to see Baltimore or see Buffalo in it and Detroit. I'd love to see those two teams play for the Super
hmm
Bowl because just because of their histories, their franchise histories. And the team I want to see it at this point win it and take it all, Detroit. I'd love to see Detroit win it all.
don't they play the Rams too?
I
Do they
believe
play
so. Yeah.
Stafford?
I believe so.
The two quarterbacks traded for each other. They're playing each. Yeah, so that'll be dope.
So
But yeah,
thank
we'll
you
go
guys.
for Buffalo.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you all for the super chats and stars. If you guys sent stars on Facebook, I apologize that we couldn't see it. Chad was feeling under the weather, so he wasn't here to produce it. And Scott is no longer here on Friday nights as he has Friday nights off to spend with his family. So we appreciate you all. Again, thank you guys so much. Thank you all so much. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Stay safe. Don't drink and drive, and enjoy life.